This episode is brought to you by Starry. When you drink Starry Lemon Lime Soda, every sip is a win. Perfect for game time or anytime. It's a crisp, refreshing lemon lime soda that's caffeine-free and bursting with flavor that makes you go, ah. Starry hits different. Find it in stores or online today.
Hello and welcome to Unequal Sequel
Extra.
How are you today, everybody? This is the podcast where we talk about sequel goodness.
Way.
Hey.
Sequely.
Now, for listeners of the last week's episode who know what's going on with Rich, he wasn't in a very good mood last week because he hasn't been eating, and he still hasn't been eating this week.
No.
But he's now on the next part of the diet. Is it a diet? It's not really a diet, is it?
No, it's just preparation for the operation, for the procedure.
Yeah. So he's going to try his best to gear himself up for this, but
Woo.
he's on liquids now.
I'm so low energy right now. It's ridiculous.
And I'm sorry that I'm laughing, but
You're not.
I've had a weird week as well, to be honest, because it's January.
Yeah.
January blues. They're actually a thing, I think.
No, I think it's like there's like science behind it that this week of January that we've just gone through is like the time when everyone's like the lowest.
I felt it, man. I was in a really weird mood, partially because I think it's the first week without double podcasting, and I just felt lost. I really did. I didn't know what to do with my time. I was really confused by it all. Like, it was like something was missing from my life, because 3 months of the year, well, not year, like 6 months of the year, it's so head on.
Yeah.
It's like a part-time job, this thing, but I like it. And when it ends, it's like something's been taken away from me. It's really bizarre. And I'm not arguing, because I wouldn't want to do it the whole year round. Like some people do. God bless those podcasters that find people to talk to every week.
That's a slog, isn't it? Like,
I couldn't even imagine doing that. But I think yesterday and today I feel much better. So we're going to talk about sequels again today for Friday stuff. And Rich has come up with this, and I'm very excited to talk about it. So,
yeah.
Well,
I mean, sort of inspired by our chat with Matt Coyne, Man vs. Baby,
Absolutely.
about the ET2 sequel treatment that sounded horrendous. And also I was reading an article about January being dump month.
yeah,
So
do you want to explain what that is to listeners?
Yeah, so apparently January and February are the time that studios dump projects, basically. So this is the time when studios look at all the projects they've got lined up and decide whether they're going to keep them or dump them. And this happens in kind of movies and TV, apparently. I don't know. So we thought, in honour of Dump Month and ET2 Nocturnal Fears, which, oh my days, sounds bad,
Bonkers.
we would do our top 3 sequels that never got made, essentially. I think it's the best way of putting it.
I wouldn't say so teased, like, you know, the end of like credit teasers like Marvel do. I mean, properly never got made. Like the out of the blue sequels, I would call them. Think, fucking hell, they try to make a sequel to that one.
Rumours, maybe a treatment's around, maybe a director's
Scripts.
attached or an actor's attached. Scripts happen, but nothing gets made. Kind of, and that's kind of where we're at. But yeah, none of that Marvel or DC stuff.
No, because January is a really peculiar month when you start researching it in the world of film, because yes, it's the time of the year when studios try and put out Oscar bait films. In England, we always get them a month later to the Americans, so you lucky chaps. It's also a graveyard of films they don't really want anyone to see sometimes, which is
Final
bizarre.
Destination 2.
And then sometimes studios take a bit of a risk, like Scream 5 last year, and because nothing else is out.
No.
So if it's a big enough title, then it's going to make money. And I don't understand why more studios don't take advantage of that.
No, that's true.
It's bizarre.
I think maybe it's just a low a low cinema going month because people are, January, people have had the excess of Christmas and so they don't go out so much, and so maybe cinema numbers are always down. But like you say, like if it was it was like Avatar 2, for example.
Yeah.
That'd be big enough
there.
to get everyone there. And obviously, that's still going. So, and I guess maybe that's the other thing, is that all the big movies get released for Christmas. So maybe people are still seeing those, essentially, because people are still going to watch Avatar, aren't they? So
They are.
Yeah,
yes,
weirdos.
Bless them. Have you been tempted to go and see that one again?
No, of course I haven't.
Me neither.
No.
I went and saw The Man Called Otto, whatever, with Tom Hanks the other day.
Oh,
Not
yeah?
prepared for that one.
Okay.
I'll talk to that in our end of month roundup.
I watched The Menu, which is fun. I've watched loads of food
That's
stuff.
not an ideal
It's
thing when you're hungry
I know, right? But I watched The Bear and I watched The Menu. So yeah,
You might as well watch MasterChef while you're at it.
yeah. I'll stick the hairy bikers on.
Yeah, bless him. Anyway, back to our point. So, 3 unmade sequels that I wouldn't even say are good, but I'd like to see, kind of like they're bonkers.
Bonkers, I think, is the good way of thinking about it. Like,
It's amazing that what some things nearly get made. I found. And then what people think are good ideas, which is bizarre. But where do you want to start? Should we? Because I think we might have 1 or 2 the same.
Yeah. Well, okay. We'll just start, shall we? So
just start.
I think my first one has been mentioned by one of our guests in the kind of dream sequel conversation.
Yeah.
And it's
a few of these have.
Yeah, a few of these have. Yeah. But my first one is LA Confidential.
2.
LA Confidential, a sequel, because there've been a few sequels penned. Because there are books that have recurring characters from LA Confidential. There are sequels to the book. So there've always been rumours about a sequel to the 97 movie.
Which is so good, by the way.
It's so good. No wonder they want to do a sequel. But yeah, I think the most strong rumour was the kind of seeing Russell Crowe and Guy Pearce come back with a young Chadwick Boseman in an LA Confidential sequel.
I mean, that's a cast, isn't it?
And I think it's set in the mid-70s, I think, is the idea. So
right.
Obviously, like Crowe and Guy Pearce have aged
dramatically.
Yeah.
What was it? Guy Pearce? Not Guy Pearce's. Russell Crowe's name was Bud. I remember that.
Yeah.
But and I remember winning Oscars and stuff and doing really well. And like you said, there's a series of books.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
And
it made $126 million from like a $35 million budget. So it made money.
I am surprised. I thought this would be a winner. And I remember when Chris Hewitt came on and talked about this, because this was his dream sequel, and they literally had this thing ready to go. I think they had a script. They had Guy Pearce, Russell Crowe, Chadwick Boseman, and the director who was a writer of the original.
Yeah.
Because Curtis Hanson has died. I think it was Curtis Hanson. And no studio would touch it, which I find remarkable.
I think it was, the director was, they had lined up was... Brian Helgeland.
Yeah, which I think, didn't he write the first? He was involved in the first one, is he not? If I can believe, I made this up again in my imaginary world. Do Dave's happy.
Yeah, no, yeah, he was co-writer in
right.
the first one. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
fucking hell.
So Brian Helgeland has done. Shall I look it up?
Yeah, there is one in my head that's annoying me that I can't remember.
I was going to say I had
2, in fact.
Legend. He did the
Tom Hardy
Prey
film.
Twins with Tom
Yep.
Hardy and A Knight's Tale.
Really?
Yeah, he did A Knight's Tale, which
Brilliant.
I really like. I really
Love
like
A Knight's Tale.
I think it's a cracking film. So yeah, he's not got a massive back catalogue directing.
I think he's more of a writer, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I've not heard of anything else. There's something called The Sin Eater in 2003, but yeah, so a couple of good movies, and so yeah, maybe a decent way forward. But yeah, it didn't happen.
So I'm guessing now this is not going to be made. Well, obviously not with Chadwick Boseman.
No, clearly not. And I think there was an attempt at a television series in sort of 2018, but again, that didn't come together. But yeah, I think it's something we'd like to see. I think it would be. It seems to be something that's maybe a bit kind of failed. You know, maybe it's just one of those things that people always think, that's a good idea. There are books out there, there's stories, we can tell them, but they've just destined never to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen. Like you said, if it would happen, I think it would be a TV series now.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll get one with Guy Pearce and Russell Crowe. And I think that sadly, that time has passed. And sadly also with Chadwick Boseman. Those three at that point in that career.
That would have been great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your first one then, Dave?
My first one I want to talk about is the sequel to 7 called 8. Which sounds so ridiculous.
I was going to say, I've heard of this, and it sounds bonkers.
Apparently, the reason they didn't want to do it because Fincher turned it down. And I've got a quote. Fincher said, I have less interest in that than I would in having cigarettes put out of my eyes.
I mean, fair.
And basically, the idea, it was already a script, so it was already made, and it wasn't connected to 7. But obviously, 7 came out, hugely popular. They wanted more of it. And they somehow wanted Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt to come back. Also, apparently the studio wanted to change the end of 7.
Right? What?
Yeah,
Okay.
to make it so they could keep using the characters.
Right. I read like Morgan Freeman's supposed to be like clairvoyant or something.
Yes, he is.
Oh, God.
He is meant to be a psychic. And it's called 8. And it's meant to be in 2002. And then they tried to get everyone together. And they all said no, because that's a stupid idea. And it is a stupid idea because no one wants to see a sequel to 7 called 8. I mean, that's fucking ridiculous.
No, it is. It's 7 deadly sins. There aren't 8 deadly sins, are
exactly. Yeah, that makes no relevance. And Pressfield, when they said 8, the poster was like E-I, and then 8, T, 8, whatever.
HT, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, well, they've seen the poster already.
They got to the point when they made the poster, though. That's like...
Pretty much.
That's pretty far on.
And then weirdly... A few years later, in 2006, so everyone said no, they couldn't get it made. They actually turned that script into a film anyway.
Oh.
It's called Solace. I had no idea about this until I went down this deep dark rabbit hole. And do you know who's in it? Colin Farrell's in it.
Wow.
Anthony Hopkins is in it. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's in it.
I'm going to have to look this up.
Abby Cornish is in it. I've never seen it, and it's about 2 psychics. One's a serial killer, and the other one is not a serial killer. He helps the police, but obviously they can see what's happening around each other, kind of thing. So how can you catch someone who knows you're coming for them?
It does sound a bit weird. Like,
well, 7's not normal. It's all about serial killers. I think that's what they were trying to.
Yeah, I know, but 7 could
Deadly
kind of
sins.
happen in real life. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
That's it's grounded.
Are you saying
Whereas
psychics are not real, Rich?
I'm saying psychics aren't real, Dave. Sorry, Derek Acora fans. It's bullshit.
I met Derek Order once. He was doing a photo shoot down the side of my building in Soho, which we quite often call Piss Alley, because that's where everyone has pisses. And I was like, you probably don't want to be taking pictures down here.
Amazing.
And he was like against the wall, like, Derek Acora.
No.
Derek Acora.
The pissy wall, and he's leaning on it. Oh. Anyway, yeah.
That was my only ever interaction with Derek Accorda. And obviously, I used to love Most Haunted.
Did you? Yeah, you did, didn't you? You love that nonsense.
I love Ghost Adventures, but everything else doesn't really touch to it, to be honest. But yeah, I think that would have been bonkers. In a way, I know 7 is such a good solo film that it doesn't need a sequel. It never needed a sequel. You don't want to see what those characters are doing afterwards, you know?
Nope. No.
Brad Pitt has had a rough time anyways.
What's happening afterwards is, Brad Pitt's got serious PTSD and is probably...
He's in prison, isn't he, I guess, for a bit. Because
he kills the guy, yeah.
He kills the guy.
So he's probably in a prison for... Well, yeah, probably not a prison, probably a hospital, a secure mental facility with severe PTSD. And Morgan Freeman's probably just, I don't know, working in a deli somewhere because he's given up.
Well, he carried on working. He was like, whatever the kid wants.
True.
I don't see how they thought that was a good... I know people love money, studios.
Yeah, of course.
But some things just don't need it, do they?
Well, that's why it didn't get made, I guess, because we just don't need it.
Because everyone went, no, that's a fucking stupid idea. And I love how they were like, oh, we've got the script. It can be connected to 7. They're like, no, it can't. No, it can't. And then year 2000, it took, what, 97? Was it 95, 7? And then...
Yeah, 95?
Yeah, something like that. And then this Solace, it's called, 2016, which I'm going to have to watch now.
Me too, yeah.
Because it's a good cast. Hopkins is as an action figure kind of thing. He's running around. It's Check out the trailer,
Really?
guys. It's
Okay.
bananas once you know it was meant to be sequel to 7 called 8, and then
It was obviously a decent enough script as a standalone. Why they had to shoehorn it into being a 7 sequel is just
because
strange.
people love money.
Yeah, true.
But it just shows how long scripts sit
Yeah, in
untouched
development.
from like 2002 until 2016.
Does
kind
that
of
one
thing.
count? Because it got made.
But not the original purpose.
True.
Not with Morgan Freeman, David
True.
Fincher, Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Not a sequel to 7.
No, it's not. It's called Solace, and it's
Yeah.
very much not a sequel to 7.
Okay.
But the idea of trying to make what's his name? Somerset, I think.
Yeah, Somerset. Not Summerfield. That's the supermarket.
Well, it's also a county, Somerset.
I know, but
Have psychic powers all of a sudden. I was like, well, wouldn't they have been in the first one?
yeah, exactly. Like trying to change the ending to 7. The ending of 7 is brilliant. Don't
What
change
in
it.
the box?
Yeah, exactly. But, like, still regularly say that to my wife whenever we get a package now.
I think everyone does it. It's one of the best endings ever.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you know it's coming when you
No,
first see it.
not when you first see it, you don't. Definitely not.
I think
And the fact you don't see it either, if you know what I mean, like you don't.
There's
like,
a frame.
yeah,
I
like
believe.
yeah,
Or just
yeah, but so
no,
quick. like,
no spoilers here. But if you haven't seen 7, go check out 7, and then go watch Solace and see if any way they connect together.
Yeah.
But that would be my pick. I'm intrigued by it. What's your next one?
My next 2 have got a very have got a running theme. So see if you can spot the theme when we get to it. But my next one is Con Air 2,
Whoa.
also known as Con Airport.
Is that what the name was?
Yeah.
Okay, talk me through Con Airport. It works. It rolls off the tongue.
Essentially, essentially, so Con Air 2, Con Airport, sees John Cusack running an airport,
Right.
which is an airport for like
cons.
prison transfers, essentially.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, and yeah, essentially Con Air happens again.
But at
It's
an
basically-
airport? So they're flying again at some point?
Yeah, I think they are supposed to be flying again.
Or are they taking over the airport like a Die Hard situation?
It doesn't really say, to be honest. Like, there's not. I'm not sure. I believe. I imagine it's probably a bit of both. But Cameron Poe is somehow back in it as like he's recruited as like an agent.
Yeah, he'd
so
work
kind of-
there.
yeah,
You'd
he'd-
want to hire him.
I
I've said
don't
this
think he
before.
works there, but I think Cusack gets him back to like help him get the airport back. Pretty much. Sounds bonkers. Sounds absolutely ridiculous.
I reckon they've been trying to make a Con Air 2 for a
There is
long time.
another idea.
Well, Petros
which-
came up with an idea.
Well, I mean, there's one that Nick Cave has floated.
Oh,
which
Link.
he basically says he would do it if the studio.
Nick Cave or Nick Cage?
No, Nick... What did I say?
You said Nick Cave.
Did I? Not Nick Cave. Fucking hell.
This is all staying in. It's wonderful stuff.
Oh, please don't leave all this in.
So Nick Cage, come on.
Nicolas Cage had an idea where he said he would come back if all the convicts were like reanimated as like super convicts.
I'd watch it.
Or
watch it.
potentially robots.
I'll watch it. I'll definitely watch it. I mean, they can't do Train because that's been done on Under Siege.
Yeah,
And then-
no, it's definitely an airport thing. So it's basically kind of Die Hard 2, I think.
Well,
But
that's
with-
kind of been
with
done. But then if you go into...
convicts
a lot of people want it to happen in space as well. And I think that's been done
Yeah.
with a Guy Pearce film called Lock Up.
and... Oh,
A
right,
little
okay.
bit. But I'd watch Nicolas Cage in anything.
Absolutely. And I think there were rumours like last year that Con Air 2 was in development.
Well, he's so hot right now.
Yeah, he is right. He is hot right now, but God knows what they're going to do with it. If it goes down the Nick Cage route, then it's. I said Cage that time, definitely
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
If it goes down the Nick Cage idea route, then it's going to be mad. If it goes down like the airport route, it's going to be mad. Like if whatever happens, it's going to be a bit mad.
Does it have a date on when they suggested Con Airport? It works. That name works.
When was it floated for? I think it was like
Was it early 2000s? It can't have been recent.
2016, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
That recent?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
I mean, apparently we're getting a Face Off 2, and I still can't believe that's happening. Until I actually see that, then I'll believe it.
I mean, 2014 they floated Con Air in space, like you've just mentioned. So there have been so many kind of rumours about it. So yeah, like Simon West, the director, floated Con Air in space in 2014.
Yeah, I think, was it last year? They was at the Action Film Festival. He was still talking about an idea of.
Yeah,
but I don't know how that would work. You can't send convicts to space, can you? Have they been doing that? Have I missed the news?
No, it definitely hasn't happened. So God knows. I don't know. It sounds bonkers. I don't think it was ever likely to get made. I think it's just something that's been floating about in rumours for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of come back now, 2022. Last year, there were strong rumours of a Con Air sequel.
I just had a thought about Con Air on a boat, because, you know, a prison boat.
Speed 2.
That is exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Boats aren't actually that exciting.
Or fast,
I would end up
really.
being like The Rock, though. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Thinking of, like, yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't done a sequel to that as well, to be honest.
Mm.
All the Nicolas Cage films all deserve sequels, but the one that most deserves a sequel, and it's not on my list, so because might have to save it for another time, is The National Treasure 3.
Oh yeah, I mean that. The reason that's not on this list is because it hasn't been dumped. It's happening. Damn it.
I'm currently watching the TV series, and
I watched the first episode, but I haven't got any further yet.
That's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's the nicest I can be about it. It's passing time. Right, my other one.
Yeah,
which I wanted it so much when I was young. I didn't know the synopsis or the plot, but I always thought there should be a Roger Rabbit 2. And then I went down this black hole you sent me, and apparently there was meant to be one.
Yeah, because it was a surprise hit, Roger Rabbit, wasn't it? And Disney scrambled and went, "Oh, money!"
So it's meant to be called Roger Rabbit 2 Toon Platoon. Platoon. Why do they call it? Why don't they just call it Platoon?
I don't know, because who knows?
Toon Platoon. That doesn't. Platoon would have worked, guys. And it's There's a longer synopsis, but I won't go into that one. The follow-up of Robert Zemeckis' semi-animated classic Who Framed Roger Rabbit was a prequel set in 1941 where Roger and his cartoon pals travel to Europe to rescue his wife Jessica Rabbit from Nazis who are forcing her to make propaganda films for the Third Reich. Now, I can go more into this, but
wow,
obviously Spielberg didn't like the link
I can imagine.
to the Nazis, so he didn't even want his name on it.
Mm.
And the first draft was apparently there's a draft. They've done tests of the animation at some point in 1989.
Was Bob Hoskins back?
I'm not quite sure. He's kind of in this list of secondary characters, but there's another male character called Richie Davenport, and so it's weird because it's meant to be a prequel, so it's not a sequel. So I'm already breaking my own rules here, Rich.
Okay.
Whoops. And the idea that apparently the Americans use oh my god, I could do this whole thing.
So it's a prequel, not a sequel.
The film is set during World War II. Roger Rabbit, a toon rabbit living with a human family, the Randalls, learns that they are not his real family. His mother had left him on the doorstep as a baby, so he decides to head out into the world to find his birth mother. Along the way, he runs into another human, Richie Davenport, who is heading out to Hollywood to make it big as an actor, since he has a fear of heights that keeps him from joining the Air Force like his father before him. Once in Hollywood, Richie and Roger meet two women, a human named Wendy Rowan and a toon named Jessica Cudnip, who work as radio performers. So that's Jessica Rabbit.
Right, okay.
They go on separate quests, Roger to find his mother and Richie to become an actor, but neither find any luck. When Richie finally does land a part in Hollywood, Roger, in searching for his mother, accidentally stumbles onto the movie set and disrupts shooting. The director and studio exec think Roger has what it takes to be a star, but Richie is upset at Roger for ruining his big break. At that moment, however, they learn that Pearl Harbor has been bombed, triggering America entry into World War II. To make matters worse, Jessica and Wendy learn that their boss at the radio station, Otto Green, is in fact in league with the Nazis, who kidnaps them and takes them to Germany, where he enslaves Jessica as a Tokyo Rose type propagandist using Wendy as a bargaining chip. 18 months later, the Allies have gotten a foothold on the European continent. The US government decides to use the indestructible of Toons, they cannot be harmed by enemy attacks, to their advantage in the war. Unfortunately, however, when the Toons actually do arrive on the battlefield, they are more inclined to entertain as actually attack, so they are reassigned to a supply base. Meanwhile, Richie has enlisted in the army in Europe, but his fear of heights threatens to platoon, so he's removed to, much to his dismay, the same supply base as the Toons. To add insult to injury, he is to share his barracks with Roger, who have been trying to avoid for the last 18 months. Now,
I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, right?
Just at that point, Pearl Harbor happens.
Wow. Okay.
Now, who was smoking what at that point when they wrote that script? And then whoever thought, oh, that sounds decent. Let's write a script and
let's make an epic Roger Rabbit. I think that's got more in it than Forrest Gump. Christ.
The idea that they use Toons because they're indestructible, I think it's quite clever.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, bloody! It's like using bad guys from Indiana Jones, the Nazis, as the bad guys. It's really weird.
Yeah, it is.
It's really strange.
I kind of want to see it though. Like, I do kind of.
There's Toon cameos. There's Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner. Foghorn Leghorn, I'll say, it was there. Yep, Droopy Dog, Goofy, Chip and Dale, Pluto, Seven Dwarfs, Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse is going to be in it, apparently. Tasmanian Devil, oh my god, Pepe Le Pew, Dumbo at some point.
Wow. Well, Dumbo's in the first one.
Dumbo, at the Toon Platoon in Naples, his trunk is used as a hose to wash grime off a plane, not a plate, dickhead.
I mean, I can't believe it's like that well formed. Like, it's a proper treatment, right? Like...
Yeah, the script takes place from 1941 to 1943. Steven Spielberg refused to sign on to the film due to its cartoonish description of Nazis, which is understandable.
That's fair enough, yeah.
I don't understand how they thought that would be. Also, the Toon Platoon, just call it Platoon. Maybe they didn't have permission.
I mean, of all the ones we've talked about, I kind of want to see that one the most.
I'm surprised they haven't done a Roger Rabbit sequel because...
Or prequel, yeah.
Yeah, because it would work. I mean, it would work now because the animation would be better, like Enchanted and Disenchanted kind of thing. Sadly, there's no Eddie Valiant and no Bob Hoskins characters.
But then you wouldn't need him if it's a prequel like that, would you?
No, but even if a sequel nowadays, Roger Rabbit's a Toon, you could still do something now.
Toons don't die.
Kathleen Turner's still around doing her voice of Jessica Rabbit would still work.
Yeah, yeah.
And every boy fancied Jessica Rabbit when they were young, right? Right?
Yeah.
She was a sexy cartoon. Don't deny
I mean,
Richard.
I want to watch it. I want to see it.
I just can't get over how people thought, like, let's make it about war.
Yeah.
Let's get the Nazis in and the Japanese.
Do a prequel, we've got to do it in the early 40s. What happened in the early 40s?
Gold War. Fucking hell.
I'm
not surprised that wasn't made.
Wow. Okay. That's wild. So, the third choice.
Talking about wild, for me, is Gladiator 2. And we know, I think pretty strongly that Gladiator 2 is going to happen. But not this Gladiator 2.
So the Gladiator 2 that I'm talking about is the Nicolas Cage written Gladiator 2.
Nicolas Cave!
What? Sorry?
It's Nick Cave.
Is it?
Yes!
Oh, okay.
You're getting your Nicolas... This has all got to stay in now.
I thought Nicolas Cage wrote it.
Oh,
so this is Nick Cave, as in Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Nick Cave. That's even wilder.
He only wrote one movie by this point, and out of the blue, he got a phone call saying, "Can you have a crack at Gladiator 2?" And Nick Cave to Russell Crowe was like, "Mate, didn't you die in the first one?" And he was like, "You can work around that."
Right. Okay.
Does it make more sense now?
If anything, less. I thought Nicolas Cage wrote it. I'm not having a good day. It's clear. Okay, so the Nick Cave version of Gladiator 2, which basically sees Maximus come back from the dead to kill Jesus. But he somehow ends up being immortal and ending up fighting in wars throughout history, and like World War II and Vietnam, and then ends the movie working at the Pentagon. Like,
I mean,
it sounds bonkers, and I really want to see it.
I think it's bonkers that Gladiator 2 is now getting a sequel anyway.
Yeah, Paul Mescal, apparently.
He's going to play the son, isn't he, of what's-her-face?
Possibly Maximus's illegitimate son. You know, that's hinted at in the movie, isn't it?
It is.
But yeah, so it's going to... Lucius, I think, isn't it?
But we know that, I don't think... Well, if Russell Crowe isn't the new one, it's going to be like flashbacks or talking from heaven kind of thing. Visions. I don't think it's going to be come back as a sword-wielding demigod to kill Jesus Christ.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, and I think there's a hint in the script that Russell Crowe's son doesn't die in the first one, and actually he's Jesus. Essentially,
what?
He's the Jesus character. So they don't call him Jesus, because obviously that would be like, a bit dodgy. They call him like something that's like Heretheus or something. And apparently that is Russell Crowe's son, and the gods trick him into killing his own son. And then he kind of wages war, joins the Christians, and wages a war against the gods. And that's they punish him by making him immortal, essentially.
Just to let you know, the script of this is on the internet.
Yes. Yeah, sort of like briefly skimmed.
But yeah, he doesn't have the Pentagon, you're right.
Yeah. Sounds mental. But I really kind of want to watch it. Again, maybe it's one they could make as a separate movie that doesn't have to be Gladiator 2.
Yes.
It could just be like, take a warrior and the gods send him back.
But I think they have to change the whole to kill Jesus.
Yeah. Like I say, it's not actually Jesus.
But why is it called Christ Killer?
Well, I think that was a working title.
Okay. I just love the way they were like, okay, what can we do with Gladiator 2?
How can we engineer it that Russell Crowe comes back?
Yeah, that's what they needed big time.
Yeah.
That's what they really wanted at that point. They had to get Russell Crowe back, because Russell Crowe was once the biggest star in the world. He was massive.
Yeah, absolutely.
He brought a lot of buck.
True.
Now, not so much. I don't think they're worried about that as much now.
So what about is that the version that you want to see as well?
Yes, absolutely. As soon as I've stumbled across it. And I've known it for a while a little bit, because I always thought, that's mental. That's actually mental. I mean, even be more mental if Nicolas Cage wrote it, Rich. That would be even more mental.
That would be even more mental.
But the way you approach Nick Cage... got me doing it now. Nick Cave. And who only written one film, like, oh yeah, can you have a crack at this sequel to the biggest, one of the biggest films of the time? I think because he was his mate and he was Australian, maybe. Is Nick Cave Australian?
Nick Cave is Australian, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I can't believe that there's actually a script. I might sit down and read this if I ever got time.
Yeah.
Because
I think
just the description of it. That's right. In Nick Cave's hands, Gladiator 2 would have involved the Christ man god along with a bunch of Roman gods, all on the same theological footing. Yeesh. Cave explained that Maximus post-mortem goes down to purgatory and is sent down by the gods who are dying in heaven, because there's this one god, there's this Christ character down on earth who is gaining popularity, so many of the gods are dying. So they send Gladiator back to kill Christ and his followers.
Yeah, apparently so.
I mean...
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of a man being sent down through different wars. Like, he just keeps getting reincarnated in different wars kind of thing. That one might have been interesting, but it didn't have to be the Maximus character.
No. I mean, it's bonkers, right?
Because we've talked about how they find other scripts and try and shoehorn it into, like, the 8 to 7. This one was actually made for a Gladiator 2. It sounds like it was another script, and I thought, let's make this a Gladiator 2, but it wasn't. And it's mental. But the actual new Gladiator 2, that news also, I was like, I don't know how to feel about that.
And apparently 2024 we're getting it.
Well, Ridley Scott's now like 85, and the man's still making movies. It's the same as Clint Eastwood. He's like 91 and still going. Incredible feat.
Apparently Ridley Scott is. I mean, he's finishing off his Napoleon one and straight into Gladiator 2.
Always back to back to back to back films.
Yeah.
He's got an incredible work ethic, and I'm glad he's directing it. Don't get me wrong. He makes pretty good films. Not all of them work.
No, that's true.
What's the House of Gucci one was?
I thought it was all right. Like it wasn't the worst thing I've seen, but it also wasn't the best.
Yeah. But we would like to hear from everyone else, our listeners, about what are not your dream sequels, the ones that you've heard but never got made that kind of blew your mind, kind of.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Yeah.
Like the weird ones, because
So not the ones you really want, but ones you've gone, that would be mad.
Wow.
Yeah. Let us know. Get on the socials at Unequal Sequel on Twitter and on Instagram. Let us know what your wild, crazy sequels that got dumped and never made are, and we'll read them all out at the in the monthly roundup at the end of January.
I'd like to hear them, because I know there's some weird alien ones out there. Alien 3 on a wooden planet, written by Vincent Price, was one of them at one point.
Wow,
that sounded interesting, and then they changed it to like the actual Alien 3 we've seen. But yeah, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, sounds cool. Yeah, so while you're on there, while you're on the social medias, check out anotherslice.com as well. So anotherslice.com/unequal sequel. You can get on there, and there's loads of extra content. There's going to be a really interesting trailer breakdown. We've had a trailer breakdown for ages, have we, Dave?
I'm looking forward to it.
Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania trailer breakdown on Another Slice, as well as all the sequels to our interview episodes and other bits and bobs and stuff on there too. So subscribe to that, $2.99 a month. If you can't afford to do that, then just hit the subscribe button, hit the auto download button on your pod player of choice, and we'll drop into your pod player every single week. We understand it's difficult, times are tough, money is tight at the moment. $2.99's it's not a lot, but it's a little bit, and we know not everyone's going to be able to afford that. So if you want to help us out without that financial contribution, just tell your friends, just share us on social media, just tell people, get involved. The more listeners we can get, the more we can do that carry on doing this stuff. It's great fun. But yeah, thanks a lot. We
Beautiful. Yeah, we do appreciate all the listens and downloads, especially in I'm going to call this our down period. Is that fair to say?
Inter-season period, yeah.
Inter-season, while we just recoup, and then me and Rich, once he's well enough to go back to the pub, because that's what we do.
That might be a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and then we'll start talking about season 5. But go check out season 4, 3, 2, 1. Sounds like I was counting down.
I'm still convinced that season 5 is going to be like our Fast 5. We're
going
to get The Rock and Vin Diesel in.
On the same episode. Would be incredible.
Oh, could you imagine?
We're the people that bring them together. Finally. I've got nothing else to say. You got anything else to say, Rich?
No, mate. All done.
So it is a goodbye to me. Goodbye to me. Goodbye from me.
That's the one.
Fucking hell. And it's a bye-bye from him.
Bye!
See you on next week's episode, which is the sequel to this week's episode.
Oh, lovely.
Bye-bye. Is that what I said last week? I can't remember. It was like that.
I think something like that, but it was good. Man, this episode's going to be so
smooth.
Rubbish.
No, it's going to be great. I loved it. Nicolas Cage in cave. I mean, that's easy to trip people up. Now you can go for your operation. Enjoy.